What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Plate Stack Chat. Not just Plate Stack Chat, but Plate Stack Chat Live. And even more exciting than that is it is the CrossFit Open. I'm delighted to be welcomed, as usual, by Jason and Sam. But this week, joining us from the UK CrossFit community is Joe Taylor. Joe, welcome around the Plate Stack.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm looking forward to this discussion about what's set to be, I'm sure, an exciting Open that's coming up in the future.
100%. I think it's exciting because we're finally back in our affiliates, right? So many, I know Sam, Jason, and myself, all made attempts at 21.1 through 21.3 and 4. But to actually be able to have Friday Night Lights again, regardless of the workout on the board and the scores on the board, it was just great to have everyone back in kind of throwing down. And was that the case for you guys? You're up at Form Fitness, right?
Yeah, as you can see, I'm still here doing a late shift. But yeah, over at Form Fitness, same thing there. Friday Night Lights, you can't beat it. People doing wall walks for the first time, which I'm sure we'll get onto soon. But yeah, there's some Friday Night Lights. You can't beat that feeling.
Definitely. And Jason, Sam, how are you both? Did you enjoy? You were both in your respective home affiliates, weren't you? So was it good to kind of have the kind of? Was it Friday night? Was it Saturday morning? Was it Thursday? Couldn't have been Thursday night. Some might have done it Thursday. I don't know.
Some definitely did do it Thursday night because I noticed that me being top of the leaderboard when we were all equal did not last very long. Thursday night already I dropped hundreds of places. I was like, oh, that's not great. I did it Friday morning actually. I was driving back from Wales Thursday night, and so my phone was like buzzing from the little team group I'm in for CrossFit Bath, with like people commenting on the announcement and what the workout was, and I'm driving and I'm like, I know what all these messages are about and I can't look at my phone, and it was just sort of just 2 more hours to go and I'll be home, and then I can find out what I'm going to have to go through. And then Friday morning, Rochelle went down at 9:30 and she did the open workout, and then I went down at 10:30 and did it. And it's going to be the same this week. I'll be there 10:30 in the morning, but I'll go back in the evening to cheer people on. But definitely nice. It's much nicer to cheer people on when you've already done it and there's no danger of you having to do it again.
Husband versus wife, then who is top of the leaderboard in the Croxon household?
I mean, I feel like that's an unfair question to ask because I've done the Open many times. This was Rochelle's first year doing the
Fantastic.
Open. And I'd give her the strategy. If you can do an RX rep, do it. But she did the scaled even for the wall walks, which we might mention something about the wall walks and a little problem she had doing the scaled version. Because I know you've got thoughts, Tom.
Definitely. Let's definitely talk more on that shortly. Sam, putting a pin in that. Sam, let's hear, how was Bear Walden CrossFit?
Yeah, mate, it was buzzing. It was absolutely buzzing. There must have been 50 plus people there Friday night. It was so good. We had some guys like mega throwing down. One of our guys beat Noah Olsen, which I was like, what? And then, no, did he beat Noah Olsen? Maybe he didn't. He was repping about the same. No, he can't have beat Noah Olsen. That would be ridiculous. He was basically, I think he did the same as everybody else, that everyone else did in their first round. They did it at the same speed as Noah Olsen and then decided that was a bad idea. It was the first thing that I noticed of everybody. I was like, look, guys, don't go out too hot. If you're doing it like faster than 1 minute 45, then you're probably doing it wrong. And everyone went out like, 123 in the first minute. I was like, you're gonna die quickly. But I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Bear Walden was brilliant. The workout is not really my wall walks, not really in my wheelhouse. But the rest of it actually was all right. Wasn't too bad.
Joe, you mentioned, you're up at Form Fitness, and there were plenty of people doing their first ever wall walks. how many people were kind of like? I get the impression Form's a substantial facility, a substantial community where there plenty of people kind of filling the classes throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you look, we've got over, I think, 150 members. So you can imagine how stacked that is on a Friday night. They're still limiting the classes to 16 to 20 per class, but they had, I think, 24 on each open class. So obviously people before waiting for people after, and then people after that waiting for people before. You soon get 60 people all cheering people on in one space. It's absolutely electric. Like Sam said, it went off definitely at Form, and yeah, like I said earlier, you can't beat it. But yeah, it's in a little bit of a transition form at the moment. A lot of the competitive members since lockdown have decided to take up triathlon, running, that type of activity, and found out they were pretty goddamn good at it. So they've carried on, which is a little bit of a shame. So yeah, there was quite a lot of people whose first Open it was as well. There's quite a lot of new members at Form, so it was even more exciting for those guys to witness it for the first time, because I think, like I've heard on one of these previously, where people are like, why should I pay to do the Open? It's just a workout I'm paying to do. And then they finally realise why come Friday night, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, that Open magic, whether it be Friday night or Saturday morning or whenever, it is something that I think is worth kind of paying that $20 or whatever it is to kind of be a part of. And I was recording a podcast with Emily Hart from CrossFit 13 yesterday, and they were saying, and Jason, I know you've got those intramural teams as well. It adds that extra kind of excitement, that kind of like, you know, the interbox competition, which, yeah, you could do that without signing up for the Open if you want, but you know, it just legitimizes it a little bit.
Well, we've got one member of CrossFit Buff that's in my team, and is someone I know, sort of because of the other podcast and that. You know, I'd messaged her like a week or two before saying, "Oh, I've seen you're in our team. Are you going to sign up for the Open?" She was really hesitant. She's like, I don't want the extra pressure. I'm kind of stressed with stuff anyway, and you know, I'm also, you know, as Boz was saying, like, you know, if people don't want to do it, don't put too much pressure on them. But I was sort of saying, you know, but it isn't any pressure. You're going to have fun. You're going to enjoy it. She's like, we'll see. So she went down Friday night and then sent me a message like that. And I was like, oh, I've signed up, because just seeing everybody there doing it and having fun was like enough to get her on. She did then message me Saturday saying, I've just tested positive with COVID. So her Open has ended very quickly. But
Oh dear.
yeah, but so that's not necessarily going to happen to everybody.
I tell you what, I do want us to talk about the announcement, because the announcements have always been a big part of the Open. But before doing that, I'm going to give you a little stats exclusive talking about not pushing people to sign up. I pulled the leaderboard for the UK, and by the UK I mean those that have registered as like country being the United Kingdom. So that's going to get expats in other countries, but it's not going to include kind of anyone like who's in the work training and works at a UK affiliate but is under a different nationality. So it is it's the limit of any stats, right? But one thing I will say, so just with that caveat,
hold on. Just let's let's walk through that again, Tom. So yeah, just so I've understood.
Do you want to know what? Hang on, do you want to know what I heard? I heard was la 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 la.
All right, okay.
Well, what can I
slow it down for me, Tom? Slow it down.
Well, can I say what I think I understood? Because I've got a practical example, and if that's correct, you say yes, that's it, and then we move on. So, like my wife, Rochelle, is signed up for the Open at CrossFit Bath, but because she's Filipina, her little flag is of the Philippines, so she will not be included in your stats. Is that
correct? That's a really good example. Another example would be the likes of Evie Hollis out at CrossFit Yas, Josh Alchama over at CrossFit Invictus in the States. Both of them are included in the stats because they are UK like their nationality, if that's the right word to use, is United Kingdom, but they are obviously training and registered at affiliates in other regions.
I see.
So it's
So you could be the national champ, but live in Azerbaijan.
Yeah. Sam Briggs, for example, now is Corner House or Cornerstone CrossFit, which I believe is the affiliate she trains at in the United States, whereas previously she's always been CrossFit Black 5.
Has
So,
someone got someone doing some sweeping in the background?
Don't know.
Let me shut my window.
He's vanished. He's back.
So yeah, that'll be one example. Sam, I assumed it was your dog again.
No, unfortunately not this time. I don't know what he's doing.
So yeah, so there's an example, as you mentioned there, Jason. Like Rochelle would not be included in the stats. Neither would someone like Netta Tucker out of CrossFit Nidus, because she competes under the Czech Republic flag. So there's always that limitation. What I've done is I've analyzed the individual leaderboard. I've not analyzed the affiliate leaderboard, which depends on how you slice it, right? Just to put you to sleep, maybe put this on before trying to go to sleep. But what I was going to get to is that on the individual leaderboard, there are 14,673 UK national athletes registered for the Open this year, which is about 4,500 more than registered last year. So, we've seen like a 40% increase. But the reason I mention that now, because we were talking about encouraging people to sign up, is 10% of those 14,000 didn't post a score for 22.1.
So how many was it? 14,000?
14,673. Giving you an exclusive there. The exclusive no one asked for. And over 1,400 of those, so 10%, didn't post a score for 22.1. So there's plenty of examples, 10% in fact, who sign up, get involved in the Open, and for whatever reason.
And what was the increase versus last year, Tom, on sign up?
Last year was about 10,000. Now, it's not surprising to see it significantly lower, given that gyms weren't even open. But yeah, that's where we were. But yeah, that was supposed to be a quick stat. Not so quick, but if anyone's still with us, that's...
the stat was quick. The context we needed to build in order to understand the stat took some time. But the stat itself was... no, I see what...
Yeah. And like...
Sam asked.
So you imagine me trying to write an Instagram caption, right, for any of those stats I put up. I spend far too long on that. But there we go. So I'll inevitably try and shoehorn some more in as we kind of continue with the discussion. But let's take it back onto the topic that I wanted to start with, which is what normally kicks off any week of the Open, especially the first week of the Open, is the Open announcement. But this year, no Dave Castro. Now, admittedly, we've actually had years, I think it was 2019, we didn't have Open announcements at all, right? So we have had Open announcements without the Dave Castro, but he was obviously not involved in the tour because he's, parted ways with CrossFit. So I'm first of all going to tell you, and you might be shocked to hear it, I haven't watched the 22.1 announcement because I was traveling that evening and just didn't ever prioritize. But I thought it'd make for great discussion today. So who wants to start? Joe, as the guest, I'm going to give you that start. Have you watched the Open announcement, and what were your first thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, obviously, you notice is that it was at 8 p.m, a normal time for British people to be able to tune in, watch it, and enjoy it with their evening meal, which was very welcome for me. Instead of waking up on a Friday morning, flicking on YouTube before I read any text messages and watching it myself organically, I didn't have to wake up that 20 minutes early, which was very welcomed. But yeah, the whole production and things I thought worked really well. I thought it was a little bit weird in the fact that they gave them about 2, 3, 4 minutes to warm up the gents before they went. And basically said, here are the standards. We presume you can do them. Crack on. But yeah, it was really exciting. I thought they chose some really good matchups. I weren't surprised that Noah went out fast and died off towards the end. But I was surprised he didn't hold on and beat Vellner, to be honest, and show a little bit more character and heart. But, it is what it is. And how people beat Noah Olsen and Vellner by 2 full rounds is absolutely beyond me on the full leaderboard. But hey ho, it was a really good show. Enjoyed it with, I think I had Spagball that night. So yeah, it was nice.
I think that there's always that thing with the kind of like an open announcement, especially, and we will get into this in terms of strategies, you know, especially the movement standards meant that you need to go in with a strategy. And I don't think they give a pre-warning to the, maybe they do, you know, but who knows? But, you know, they have that kind of few minutes to warm up and then they go again. And I don't know whether, you know, Vellner and Noah posted the score that they got in the open announcement or whether they went off and did it again on Sunday to kind of get the score that they wanted, knowing that they only need to get top 10%. I imagine they didn't bother.
I mean, they definitely posted the score from that night because it went up almost immediately. I've not seen any evidence of them redoing it, and as you said, why would they? Like and I've no doubt if they hadn't done the announcement, then there'd still be people that would have beaten them, but maybe they would have beaten them by a round, not by 2 rounds, because they would have gone into it with a different mindset. But you know, you've already done it. And it doesn't matter, and it's not really going to change anything unless you think, oh, I'm actually going to win this workout and win some money. Like it's not going to change much for them. And it was interesting to hear. Like I think I was listening to the Savan podcast, and like Rich Froning won't let the people redo. Like the team members, and that is like you're not redoing it. You do your best that first time, and like unless something catastrophic happens during the workout, he's like, there's no need to redo it, so we're not going to. And I think that's the mentality that the majority of the athletes have gone into. If you're worried about your open score, you're not going to the games. Like it's that simple, right?
Yeah, I think that's quite evident as well across the UK scene, because I saw sort of Mikey Steele, Reggie post, obviously, just another workout, let's get back to training. Because obviously their goals are further down the line with the semi-finals, or even if they go team, maybe they're going to focus on a completely different type of training.
Yeah, and it's because it resets every time. If scores carried over, or there was some element that actually your score is then added to your score at quarterfinals, and that it would be a different story. But as it's sort of a fresh start every time, you just need to do enough to get through, and then you're fine.
That's also surely a mindset thing, though, because in the CrossFit Games, you don't get to redo the workout. Like, you don't get another chance, So I guess what Rich Froning is trying to instill in his guys is, look, you only got one chance. Like, if the dumbbell falls apart or something at the CrossFit Games, then there are, there are things there are ways that they can get around that. They can allocate you different time, or they get you a dumbbell instantly, or and then they add some reps on or whatever. But that's like the head judges and the kind of scoring team's job. But realistically, like unless your dumbbell falls apart or your box like smashes in two, like what's the point in doing it again? And if that's happened, you're probably not that far in the workout anyway, or you're far enough that it's not necessarily going to matter that much.
I probably will go back and watch the announcement at some point. The main reason being is I really wanted to see like Danielle Brandon and Bethany Shadburn going head to head, both being like underdog athletics kind of athletes. One thing I guess though is that those two must train together quite often. So I guess it was just kind of like say another training day for them. It just so happened that the cameras were out and maybe they got some free stash from Noble.
Yeah. I mean, that was exciting. And I tell you what, Danielle looks fierce. Like this is going to be a good year for her, I think. So that was great to see that. I think that was more interesting to watch than the Vellner Olsen one. I have a question for Joe though, which is because he said he really liked the thing. How did you feel with like Tia announcing the workout and not even being there in person, but it kind of being done through like a Zoom call, and then struggling to open the envelope and that kind of? Did you like that, or?
I thought they did it on purpose to fill the Castro awkwardness that is usually there. I thought it was quite a nice little bit of comedy, but yeah, it was really strange why they wouldn't just get someone there to do the announcement, and that they felt that because Castro wasn't there, the next best thing was probably a CrossFit Games champion to do the announcement. They don't kind of feel that they're at the stage yet, or anybody else at CrossFit is, to do that announcement. I think that really surprised me, that they haven't got the confidence in their own celebrity status, if you like, to do it themselves.
Yeah. Or even that you're trying to eliminate that, right? Isn't that the whole thing of like it being now it should be CrossFit and not this person?
Well,
yeah.
Arguably though, well, no, but arguably though, so surely maybe Tia, so Tia's not doing any of the workouts she's not booked in to do any of the workouts, right? So, but Justin is, so it might have been like, oh well, you know, we couldn't get Tia to do one of the workouts, so well, let's get her to be part of it and announce maybe, or do something along those lines. Like, I'm not sure it was a deliberate necessarily, like, oh, let's fill Dave's shoes with something else, because they didn't do that for anything else. Like, I mean, maybe the Instagram post before the weird, I don't even play that game that everyone plays, like, what's the game
Wordle
at the time? Wordle, that's it. With the Wordle thing, I was like, oh, okay.
Have you seen the latest one, the one that went out today?
No.
No, even more Castro-esque.
I know. We'll get onto that later. I'm gonna keep some order to this.
Okay, so we're on this. My feeling is, like, why use a person again? Like, why have it be a role somebody's doing? What I would have preferred, because also she doesn't know the move. It's very the Oscars. You know, she's opening the envelope, she pulls it out, she starts reading the movements. And I just feel like that is the most important bit of information that is being conveyed that whole evening, right? Is this is the workout. So why not have Bosman or another judge or a seminar staff or somebody just come out and be like, okay, guys, this is the workout, or have it like, you know, a demo team. Have somebody say, this is the workout. It is going to be wall walks. These are the standards that we want to see from you. It's then going to be like, make it more as this is for the community, so you all understand what the workout is. Or you do the Dave Castro kind of, the reveal of the workout. This weird middle ground is just like, you're saying, on the one hand, you know, you're firing Dave and saying, this isn't the direction of CrossFit anymore. And then you're like, but here's us doing pretty much exactly the same thing with our new direction. And you're like, well, you know, that was my only thought. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I just don't understand it. I think that would be my sentiment.
Okay. Fair enough.
Look at me jumping on the fence with Tom.
Well, no, I think I didn't. I'd be honest. I didn't enjoy the whole package of the show, if you will, and not because Dave wasn't there, because I don't. If anyone knows me, I don't give a toss. And it, you know, and it's not because they were trying to fill this like Dave Castro slot. And I love all the guys that are there. Chase is great. Sean's great. You know, the whole team are really good guys. Like, and I don't know. It could have been so much slicker. It could have been, you know, as you say, if you'd have made the, as you say, Jace, like if you'd have made the main point of information, yeah, that would have been brilliant. And then you've got these cool athletes like throwing down against each other after you found out like the big news. That's what people. I think that's what people want to see. You don't.
It's too long, right? It doesn't need.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
Turn on. Well, you don't turn on. I don't know. I'm trying to think of another thing where they reveal stuff, but like, I don't know. You don't watch. This is a real bad one.
The FA Cup draw. That's one where, like,
the FA Cup draw. You basically switch it on. This is the information, and then you have some color analysts after talking about what's going on, and then you tune in to watch the matches when they happen. Like, that's sort of. I mean, isn't it great to see Arsenal playing Chelsea this, you know, on the FA Cup draw this time or whatever?
Well,
you know.
Well, like Joe mentioned the time to warm up. So why don't you just get them in there, like introduce the athletes, give us the workout, and then they're going to go and warm up, and we're going to set up the rig and this and that, and you can fill that bit of time with some of the other elements that they brought in, and you're like, oh, now we're going to, you know, go visit a local box, or we're going to talk about the L1 course or whatever, like whatever it may be, but we all know, oh, you're doing that because the athletes are getting warmed up, because they know now what the workout is, and because actually, like, if we're honest, which I know we rarely are, but if we're honest, the open workouts are always going to be kind of boring, right? Because it's just one workout. So it's, you wouldn't watch the CrossFit Games if it was just one workout. It's like you want to see them trying different things, and so you generally got 2 athletes, 1 workout going, like, yeah, okay, they're going head to head, but it's not the same, is it? There's no wild card coming in from the back of the pack.
No, but the other thing, this is the really interesting thing, is that I would watch it. So I watched it to see how fast they were going, right? Because I want to know how fast I should be going. Because if they're doing it if they're repping, they got, what do they get, like 10 rounds or something. So I know that I shouldn't be going any faster than 2 minutes a round, because I'm not an elite athlete. So if I'm going any faster than 2 minutes for my first 3 rounds, I'm probably going to be looking at a box or a dumbbell or a wall for some long period of time. That's what I want to watch it for. I want to obviously find out what the workout is, maybe see some cool stuff from people, around that are doing just cool stuff around the open. And then I want to watch how fast these guys do it and how good they are. Yeah. And then you could turn it off and I'd be done.
Yeah, I think it goes back to both what you say, Sam and Jason. If they do give their athletes time to warm up, which absolutely baffles me, because if I relied on CrossFit to pay my bills, I wouldn't jump into a WOD that's unknown with 3-4 minutes warm up through injury. And from what you've just said, is people want to see, like what you said, Jason, maybe a demo team doing the reps and someone explaining the standards. Because then when you get to the box on Friday morning, Friday night, you know the standards. You don't have to necessarily listen to your coach as hard and ask as many questions because you've watched it on TV. And that could be a real filler for 10, 15 minutes in that gap. And I think that would tick quite a few boxes and get back to the main objective of the show, to release a workout, not watch some top tier CrossFitters go off against each other.
Still cold. and I think that speaks to because Nicole Carroll will sometimes come in and give a few little tips and stuff alongside like an explanation, because that is key, and it is a really good resource both for individuals but for affiliate owners and coaches to be like, well, if my members, if a good proportion of my members have watched that quality informative content, it's going to make getting 24 people through an open workout in the space of 60 minutes a lot easier, potentially even more than 24 people. And I guess that lends itself to it being going right back to what you said at the beginning, Joe, of it being at 8 p.m. GMT, so we can actually watch it with our tea, right? And there's me. I've lived in the South for far too long now, but I'm still going back to saying tea as a fellow Yorkshireman. I thought you'd appreciate that.
I refrain myself from saying dinner, tea, just because I know we've got some Southerners on the call, Tom.
But that's a tangent that I'm going to definitely get back onto before the end of this podcast. But what I want to say then is, because I didn't watch, so talking about watching the open announcement, and Sam, you were saying there, it's a chance to see how fast people are going. I just saw something on Instagram that said box jump overs and wall walks. And it wasn't until I got to, so I did the open Saturday morning at CrossFit All or Nothing in Barnstaple, North Devon, because it's where we were over the weekend. But it was only when I got there that I realized that the movement standards had changed. So I'd gone in with some thought of being like, right, I can do wall walks in this amount of time, snatches this amount of time, and then box jump overs, 15 of them. That'll be fine. And I'll just recover in the gaps between my wall walks. And it was only when they said, you've got to step down off the box.
You clearly didn't listen to the plate stack chat the week before the open.
What about listening to the movement stands? Hey, I was going to listen to the movement.
about reading the movement standards before you attempt to do the work.
I did. Like I got the movement standards once I got to where I was going to do it, but I'd gone through this initial process in my head, like we probably all did, and that's what I kind of want to get into. Not only the movement standards, but how that impacted our kind of strategies. And I'd thought 15 box jump overs, that might be something I'm not an amazing springy athlete, but I probably would have been, I preferentially jump down just because it's better for my knees, which maybe doesn't make sense, than trying to step down because I've got short legs and I don't like to kind of load my knee and try and twist off a box. which I inevitably have to do with a 24-inch box and only a 29-inch inseam, let's say.
Well, I'm 27, Tom, so it was even worse for me.
There we go. But I will get into it. I was pleasantly surprised. But let's talk about the step downs then. I know I'm not the shortest of the
people on this call. Go on, say it, Tom.
But I've just got small legs, Tom. I'm 6 foot. Got a long torso.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what movements would that make you really good at. I'm not sure.
None. Deadlifts, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but yeah, did anyone else kind of like have a nervous response to kind of like?
Yeah, I mean, for me, straight away, I was a bit peed off, to be honest, because. But then I reflected and obviously saw why they'd done what they'd done. But my first reaction was, rebounding is a skill, and you're taking the skill element out of the movement, which makes it more even playing field for someone who's been doing CrossFit longer and spent more time practicing the movements to be able to become more efficient. And so it's jeopardizing their performance. But then when you look at it from the other point of view, for a lot of the new members at Form, for example, the amount of people who had probably blown their Achilles up would have been probably twofold. It would have been double digits probably. Those guys haven't got conditioned ankles to the same degree as some people who've been doing it quite a long time. And if they'd have attempted them, obviously you can only say, I wouldn't do it if I was you, but with the adrenaline and the open magic, I think people would have tried to rebound that just shouldn't be rebounding. So I can see both sides of the fence, but my initial reaction was kind of what the...
Yeah.
See, mine was the opposite. When I heard this, I was like, good, because I generally step down anyway, just because of longevity, I suppose. And yeah, I think I'm pretty proficient. I mean, Tom knows that I'm shorter than both he and Sam, so I don't know how tall you are, Joe, but I'm gonna probably guess I'm shorter. So
you've also got the mobility.
5'8", Jason. Steady 5'8".
Think of like
Jason's
think of like a leprechaun. That's probably where we're at.
Well,
but Jason, you've also got the definitely mobility that I'm envious of. I was going to say mobility of a Chinese weightlifter, but so you're not afraid of that kind of like large range of motion that kind of is inevitable if you're of shorter stature and stepping down off a box.
Yeah, so I think that the way I saw it is that this is because obviously I would have probably been jumping down if we could have, just to go a bit faster, and I actually thought, this is nice because this means I can kind of keep my usual rhythm and cadence I would use in a WOD, and I can just apply it to the open. And when I was looking at that workout, like the box jumps were probably the only thing, looking at it just listed there, that I was like super confident with, because I love a box jump. So I was like, okay, that's fine. It's a 22.5 kilo dumbbell. I hate that. That's always heavy. And then wall walks. Last time I did wall walks was in a field during 21.1. So I was like, who knows how these are going to go? So that was my thought process.
I'm fully stoked. So I was fully stoked when they announced that you had to step down, because my stepping down is personally, if I want to do, if I was considering, for example, Mal O'Brien with like 392 reps or something last night, nearly 200 box jump overs. Surely that is more efficient doing step and jump rather than bang, 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 because you'll blow up whatever part of your body. Like 200 reps is a lot of box jump overs. But for me, there's a video of me doing them, I think, somewhere on the internet, and I was that wasn't the handbrake of that workout for me. I could have done another sort of someone's handbrake's going. I could have carried on doing the box jump overs and the dumbbell snatches, the wall walks for me. As I often say, I'm 140 kilos. Like, how many people put 140 kilos over their head? Like that's essentially what I do in a wall walk, right? just pushing myself to the wall.
Are your hands not like 40 kilos each, right?
Yeah.
So it's only 60, really,
Well,
right?
they're still above the floor, though, right?
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. Yeah, no, and I think I'm someone else who hadn't done wall walks since 21.1. To be honest, I don't think I'd used a 22.5 kilo dumbbell since 21.2 either. I'd been focusing on whatever, normally pick up the 20 or even kind of go, 15 and we'll go faster and then not go any faster. Yeah, I think that was another thing they changed, wasn't it? Like the you weren't having to measure and tape and stuff based on your shoulder height, and that didn't make the movement. I didn't feel the movement being any different, but like I say, I haven't done it enough. And I think it probably just made it logistically a hell of a lot easier because you could just tape up, 55 inches and 60 inches or whatever distance it was. And then those stations were ready to go for the whole weekend, which I think I much prefer instead of having to kind of like do some origami and trigonometry and kind of like have that all on camera if that's what you were doing, if you were submitting a video.
Well, if you're in CrossFit Bath, we had like 170 plus signups for the Open. So when I went in Friday morning, there were basically 2 walls were taped up with boxes in front, and they could just run people through. As you said, like if you're having to move the tape, move the line, measure every athlete, that's delaying the amount. So we went in, did a big group warm up. Everybody got their like judge, and then we ran through once. And then we swapped and we ran for a second time, and it was just so simple and easy for everyone to kind of do it. So what's funny is that of all the free movements, the wall walks, I think I tried 1 or 2 in like the warm up, and I was just thinking, man, this line is really close to the wall. I'll tell you that. 3, 2, 1, go. The wall walks were by far for me where I was making up time on other people. Like that was the bit that I was doing fast. The dumbbell, I hated it. I was, the first few rounds, yeah, they were fine, and then it was an absolute nightmare. And the box jumps were, just kind of what I was doing to recover enough energy to go back and do some wall walks. So I actually didn't find, and I'm one of the shorter athletes. I was absolutely fine with the standardized height for the for the lines. Rochelle is shorter than me. She did the scaled wall walks. And the problem with those is that you start with your hands in front of the line and have to bring your hands behind the line. And she did struggle with having to have her hands in front of the line because it wasn't even just fingertips. You've got to have your whole hand over the line. But, the box is the same height for everyone. The weight's the same for everyone. So why not have the line the same for everyone? Colton Merton's got a great score on that open workout.
Scale.
Exactly the same height as you.
He's shorter than me. So
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the line was 5 foot, wasn't it? Away from the wall.
It actually, honestly, felt pretty comfortable to know that, actually that, inch this way or inch that way made a huge amount of difference. I was just like, hands are on the line. Great. I can start.
That's just a thought. Just anyone that the scaled version, one of the things I was thinking with that is it still required to some degree of inversion against a wall, right? And that is still it's not. I mean, I don't know. There's foundations, and it was foundations bear crawl.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So there is that element that for some it was like Joe. I know you mentioned this, like people's first wall walks, right? Walking towards the RX, walking towards the wall, and essentially, well, I know for me, my stomach's touching the wall, that's for sure. And there were a few occasions where my stomach was touching the wall and my feet weren't, and I wondered where I was going next. But when I walked in with a little too much gusto and nearly bounced off. But for scale, that equally is requires core activation, core stability, that ability to load one arm and then one shoulder and then the other, kind of walk in. Yeah, you're only maybe moving, let's call it 6 inches, but Jason, I don't think Rochelle have been alone. I know she's not alone. I saw it as well. Just how you kind of go through that. Joe, what about for you? Are wall walks something you were comfortable with? Did you do them last year? Have you done them since?
Yeah, I did it. I've got a garage gym, so quite fortunate. Just got it sorted before lockdown, before all the prices shot up and things. So I was a lucky boy. But yeah, did it last year in the Open. I think it came about 90th in the UK in that WOD because no one else was doing it. So decent finish. And then yeah, just done them in a lot of EMOMs recently, leading up to the Open. Admittedly, not been training as hard leading up to this Open, but yeah, been trying to get a few of the unusual movements like this in, like overhead walking lunges as well, and things you don't usually do in classes because they might have that little bit more complexity to them, and not as many people can obviously take part and do them.
I thought the dumbbell snatch was going to be a dumbbell squat snatch. I genuinely thought I was like, oh man, and then I was like, oh sweet. But then actually in hindsight, I would have hated that with a passion, absolute passion. But then that's not as inclusive as it could be, right? If they want an fairly inclusive workout, like that was as inclusive, almost as inclusive as it gets. Like almost everybody.
I think the first one is what I always refer to as like the caveman WOD. If you set a caveman off, he will beat anyone because anybody can pick it up, and it's usually just a grunt work. And I think that one was pretty evident of that. But the one that strikes me that was like that the most was, I think, 19.1 with the rowing and the wall balls.
Jason's
that
favorite
one absolutely crushed me to death. But people in the gym who were just fit as a fiddle absolutely smashed it.
Mm-hmm.
So talking about smashing it, let's with the kind of like got about moving on, maybe the next 20 minutes or so, let's make sure we talk about any performances of note that jump out, whether it be and it doesn't just have to be the top of the global. I mean, we've already talked about Mal O'Brien. We can talk about the global leaderboard, anyone you thought you'd expect to see there that wasn't. We can talk about the UK, but equally it's a chance to shout out anyone from your communities as well. So Jason, I know you always like the global. Do you want to start us there, or do you want to jump straight into the UK?
I don't want to start at all. I don't care where anyone is on the Open leaderboard.
Yeah. Well,
they're all above me. So what do I care? No, what I would like to know, actually, and maybe I can ask Sam this because otherwise I'll look up myself, is the Plate Stack chat leaderboard.
Well,
I think I know who's leading that, which I believe is Connor, if I'm not wrong.
It could very well be. I'm just trying to find it now. Competition dashboard. There we go. I'll look it up. If you carry on talking, I will find it and put it up on screen for us.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm not sure if it's Connor. Could be Claire. It's just popped up saying that she sees 19.1 as the best Open WOD ever. And I can't even remember that.
Well, that's a shame.
No, that's definitely not Claire. That is 100% Connor watching this saying that. There's no way Claire enjoyed that much. Surely, Claire.
If I'd known Connor was watching, I wouldn't have said that he was top of the leaderboard. I'd not have given him that moment of glory.
I always get 2019 and 2020 mixed up because they were in the same year, so I can never remember what 19.1 is.
Oh, I can remember because it crushed me.
And 19. Is that correct? In 19.1, was it 19 calorie row balls for 19 minutes, or have I made that up?
Was it really that long? Oh no, that's.
I will come back to it. But one thing I was going to say, and there's been an article on Morning Chalk Up about this because, I think I said right back at the beginning, and we were talking about people being one and done, right? Because actually, for those who are aspiring to go beyond the Open to quarterfinals to semifinals, they're really, this is not their concern. But what we're seeing both on the global leaderboard and on the UK leaderboard, and I'm happy to talk about that if we want, is we're seeing that there are still familiar individuals at the top, which even means if they're only doing it as part of their training, they're still posting some big scores, whether it be globally or, within the UK leaderboard. And so that kind of just speaks to, that even if they're just doing it as part of their daily training, they can just dial that intensity somewhat. And it shows the level of performance that there is at that kind of like international / elite level.
So I need to apologize to Ben.
Who is this guy?
you not know? Ben's great. So he's another.
Quite clearly great.
Yeah. So he's another fantastic teen athlete that was at the British Teen Championships. So spoke to him a lot over that weekend. And yeah, so he is currently top of the leaderboard. Which is so annoying because like they're so young and they're so good.
So they're in the same category, aren't they? They're both in the 15 to 17 age category, which is
16 to 17, yeah. And
sorry,
Ben
16
Cole got the
16 to
highest score in that division in the UK.
Yeah.
Wow. Which is probably why he's top of our leaderboard.
Yeah. Oh, there I am in 9th.
Oh, I've made it in. Excellent. There we go.
Yeah. Tom's in 12th.
Yeah.
There's me in 16th.
So, I think it's, like you say, and I mean, Joe, you described it as a caveman WOD, but we're still seeing that, those who are making it to semi-finals previously were on the floor at Wadapalooza. They've got that caveman engine, and they can still let out one and done.
This is a fun fact. Rosie will like this. So Rosie Cox is a CrossFit Bath member. So she's only like a few reps behind Adrian Bosman. So that's
loving that.
That's pretty good.
That was the first thing that I messaged Connor. I think I said to him, "You just beat Boz."
Yeah, but I think that's the nice thing of the Open, right? It's like, yeah, you're gonna see. Of course, you're gonna be checking out like, oh, where's Velner and where's Justin and all these huge names. But it's so nice to also be able to just like people from around the community for other reasons, kind of be able to kind of see how they're doing and how much better and fitter they are than you. That's generally what I find when I look around the Open leaderboard.
Sorry, Tom, you had something up then.
I know. I'm trying to show, and this isn't going to mean much for those who are listening, which I know plenty of people are listening to it just as a podcast. But just it's my prerogative to show the kind of like UK scores. So we already mentioned Ben Cole at Great Star in the 16 to 17 division. We've got the likes of Taylor Howe, Lucy Campbell, Amy Kringle, and Ella Wilkinson, who are the top female athletes. So that's that exemplifying with names those that a lot of people will be familiar with if they do watch some of the UK athletes at semi-finals, Wadapalooza, and things like that. Really exciting to see another Connor, but this time Connor Pinnington, who's also from CrossFit Isle of Man.
I was going to mention him, Tom.
Yeah, he's the athlete program trained by Dan Bonnet over at CrossFit Isle of Man, and I know he's definitely kind of one to watch, kind of coming through the ranks, and super exciting to he's clearly got an engine on him. Another one coming out of Isle of Man. So that's cool. One thing to note, and this will become a talking point, I think, on the international stage, is look where Sam Briggs is. I'd forgotten that actually at 40, Sam Briggs now moves into the 40 to 44 top scores, and is one of the top scores is the top score for the UK. So Sam's announced that this is her last year before retirement. She's up into the 40 to 44 division, but I'm sure we know she's driving for that individual invite to the games through quarterfinals and semi-finals. So there we go. If folks don't have anything else on 22.1, I definitely felt I could have got more reps, but actually I decided that it was more important for me to get comfortable with the score that I've got than it was to kind of try and find time to do another attempt at wall walks. Where, and before the Open even started, I said to myself that just posting a score is a success for where my training or lack thereof is right now. And it's requiring more of a positive mindset just to move through and focus on the community, focus on the Friday Night Lights or whatever it might be, than the score I actually got, which we'll see that all the time, but it means I'm now starting to look to 22.2. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. Are we going to do predictions then? Is that where we're going with this, Tom?
I've got one in mind, but I'm going to throw it out there. Anyone got a burning prediction for which sounds like an ailment you might want to get some cream for, but anyone got a prediction for 22.2?
The thing is, I don't see it being a max lift because I think they'll save that for the third WOD, with it being maybe a two-parter again, because that worked really well, I felt, last year. But what really wound me up about that, just to get this off my chest, is I've seen people retesting 21.4, but not after 21.3 and beating the previous score. I'm like, how does that compute? So yeah, if you're doing that, stop doing it. It's winding me up on Instagram. But my prediction for 22.2 is going to be, I think we've probably had the handstand walking / handstand push-up element of the Open, but I can see it being maybe a bit of another gassy one, but with some double unders and maybe thrusters and burpees over the bar. Definitely, I've got a feeling it's going to be another gassy one for some reason.
Thrusters with burpees over the bar is something a lot of people I've heard say. That's like we've been in at the box. They put up a post kind of asking people to guess, and if anyone guesses right, they get loads of points for their team. It's not going to happen, though, is it? So I've got a wild prediction. If you want, like, I've gone super specific on a workout, and I've got there's no reason for it to be this. I was just like, you know what? I'll come up with an open workout that I think it could potentially be that will be something horrible and destroy us. So I'm thinking 21:15:9. Okay. Deadlifts. And so first of all, I want to say the movements that my real guess would be, I reckon we're going to see deadlifts and double unders as part of this workout. Okay. But what I think might happen is something like a 21:15:9. 21, you do deadlifts and toes to bar. 15, clean and like a chest to bar. And then the 9 are shoulder to overhead and bar muscle ups with double unders in between.
So I like that as a workout. I'd like to do that.
Like 50. That would be quite cool. Do that with 50 double unders in between and put a 10-minute time cap or 12-minute time cap on that. That'd be horrendous.
And and obviously the weight on the bar stays the same. So you're deadlifting it, then you're cleaning it, and then you're doing shoulder to overheads. And if they set the weight right, that final portion is going to be the separator, isn't it? Because it's who's got the strength to do the shoulder to overheads. That maybe a weight they could deadlift, but they can't do shoulder to overheads, or they can do chest to bar pull-ups, but they don't have muscle ups. So it will kind of be like, it's that element that then you'll see this big separation. And then for the elite athletes, they'll all get it done, and it will just be how quickly.
Yeah. So are you thinking the weight being the same for the bar throughout that?
Yeah, I'm thinking like 60 kilos, something like that. That's going to be, so it's going to be really light for the majority of people, be like really light for the deadlifts, but or maybe even heavier.
80,
80 maybe. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. The only issue with a workout like that, now 15 isn't too bad if they're only doing it once of cleans, is people not fully extending, getting there, like in terms of judging and movement standards for a high repetition cleans, like you don't see elbows coming in front of the bar, kind of whether probably not extend, catching it in the power position and not standing it up before they kind of like bring the bar back down. So I don't know. I feel like that doesn't mean they won't do it, but it could be one of those like, proper loads of memes on poor movement standard for cleans. So
yeah, I think it's more likely to be ground to overhead than just cleans, because there's less that can go wrong.
That's a good point.
In judging, I mean, wise.
Yeah. Oh, but then we're just snatching again.
I feel if it's heavy enough though.
Yeah,
that's
if the bar was 80 kilos, which is which is probably a weight that's going to be roughly right. If you were doing all three of those movements, 80 kilos is going to be about right, because your sort of everyday Joe would definitely be able to deadlift that. Some would be able to clean it, but maybe not 15 times. And then shoulder to overheads, like if you can clean it, you're probably doing that part, but you might not have muscle ups or something.
Yeah. If it was 80 kilos, I've done all of those movements at 80 kilos, but it's like doing them all one after another, that many reps. Yeah, for me, that would be a real, like when I got to that, like shoulder to overhead, that would be questionable. Like do I have it in me to do it now? And I kind of feel like that's usually where I sit in open workouts. Is it's kind of like, oh, technically I can do all of these things. I'm just not sure if I can do them all at the same time, like all on the same day. So maybe
that's the open magic.
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, so there's, I mean, I love a barbell, not necessarily a gassy barbell, which is what that is, especially if you've got gymnastics and double unders in there. Joe, anyone that follows you on Instagram knows you love a barbell. So, I mean, is that what, are you hoping to see barbell cycling either this week or the following
and I
week?
think it's a barbell in the clue that CrossFit have posted. That looks like a knurling of a barbell to me. I know we said we'd talk about it later on, so that's my tuppence into the conversation. I think it is a barbell, and the heavier, well, up until obviously certain weight, the heavier the barbell to cycle, the better for me, definitely. So,
do you know what would be the ultimate like trolling from CrossFit? Is that absolutely that is a barbell, and then the workout is 7 minutes of burpees over the barbell, and the barbell is just being used for you to do burpees over.
And on the announcement, they come from that zoomed in picture and come out to the barbell, and it's someone just jumping over as they start the announcement.
And maybe it's really loaded heavy. So like the big guys are like going, oh, look at that. Oh, there's 20s on there. Oh, 2 more 20. Oh, is that like 100 kilos on there? Wow. What are we going to be doing? And then they were like, oh, that was just for stability to make sure it didn't roll away.
Imagine 7 minutes of burpee over barbell, because like, you know, there's two very different ways you can do burpee over barbell, especially if you don't have to extend all the way up, which you don't typically was. You know, you can rabbit hop or across. There's very few who can maintain that for 7 minutes, right? Yeah. So it could be a really interesting kind of one, but I feel it's a little too. So what I was going to say is that like 22.1 felt like the kind of, you know, the gassy one, right? You know, the one where like, it brought in some elegance by having the step down on the wall walk, which was going to kind of slow people down a little bit. It wasn't as kind of like 17.1 and 21.2, right? The box jump overs, burpee box jump overs and snatch. That was a little bit more grunt work, but it makes me think that like there's going to be a higher skill thing that comes into that. So whether that be kind of barbell cycling with increasing weight, or kind of the gymnastics coming in there, or a bit of both.
Or I'll give you this. You can do, it could be, maybe it's less time, maybe it's 5 minutes of max burpees over the bar, and then 2 minutes for 2 minutes would probably be enough, and then 2 minutes to get the heaviest clean you can afterwards.
I was just going to say that, Jace. That's definitely what they could do, and that'd be a really interesting workout, I think.
That would be very similar to it wasn't burpees, was it? Do you remember, was it 18.2 and 2A? And it was like it was
dumbbell
squats,
front squats and bar facing burpees, right?
Bar face burpees, and then that was followed by a max clean.
Yeah. So we could,
your legs didn't work. I remember that. Yeah. I remember trying to clean this weight, and then my judge being like, "You've got to move your legs. You've got to move your legs." And I was like, "They're not moving. I don't know what to tell you." And then I judged him, and he came up to me afterwards, he was like, "Yeah, they just don't work."
I could tell you in that workout. I could tell you exactly what score I would get right now. I'm actually not even joking. I know exactly how many burpees over bar I can do in 5 minutes. I could tell you within 10 reps of what I would get, and I could tell you what I would clean in the 2 minutes after as well, like within probably 5 kilos. Yeah. So I could pretty much post my score right now.
I feel so my closing remarks, and then I want to wrap this up. You know, we get a good night's sleep ahead of the weekend. Is I have a feeling that, although it's Wednesday, I don't even know what day it is. I'm wondering if there's going to be a repeat. And so the two ones that keep floating around for me, I'm torn between 19.5, which is an ascending ladder of thrusters and chest to bar pull-ups with a 20-minute time cap, which is pretty miserable. But something like that feels like it's more likely to be the last week, because it is a bit of a kind of like sell your soul one, right? And kind of like thrusters always seem to end up in the last week the last week of the workout. And then the other one, if I can try and remember what it is, which is actually the one before that, 19.4. And this speaks to a little bit about what we've been discussing here: burpees, gymnastics. And it was the three, and actually Ty Hatherley of CrossFit Talisman selected this as one of his favorite workouts when I was chatting to him on the podcast recently. It's 3 rounds of 10 snatches and 12 bar facing burpees. Then you rest 3 minutes, and then you have 3 rounds of 10 bar muscle ups and 12 bar facing burpees. So it's a beautiful menagerie. Not the right word to use, but I like the word menagerie of gymnastics, of burpees, and of bar work. So who knows?
I remember that workout very clearly because I only just managed to finish that first part with enough time that I think after the 2 minutes rest, I was going to have 5 seconds, and I just needed to get. And I was like, if I can get a muscle up, that's shooting me so many places up the leaderboard, and I'd never felt so much pressure to get a movement. I got the muscle up. Don't worry, everybody. It's fine. But
open magic.
Sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's the open magic where you got the muscle up.
Yeah, and then I swung down and I was like, could I get another? No. There's just no time.
I want to see a 19 point. I want to see a 19.2 repeat or something along those lines. I like, because it was AMRAP 20 beginning on an 8-minute clock, and then if you get it done within 8 minutes, you get another 8 minutes.
Oh yeah.
You get another 4 minutes, and then if you complete that bit, you get another 4 minutes. Which I thought, I like the idea. That's the sort of clock that I really like, because either you're only waiting around for 8 minutes if you can't finish, but then it gives you the opportunity to sort of keep going and going and going. And there's, as you say, it lends itself to that sort of open magic.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a final question I would like to ask this body of CrossFit experts. Is there any chance that we do not see thrusters?
Yes.
So historically, thrusters have been in every single Open, but there was the potential that we were not going to see thrusters in one Open, because I'm sure you remember there was the choose your own Open workout that was voted on by the the people, wasn't there? And it was one was an overhead squat workout and the other was the thrusters and chest to bar or something like that. And that was the one that some stupid people picked. And so that's what we ended up doing. So potentially there could have been a year we didn't have them. Now, we have them, and everyone always says, well, we always have thrusters there every year. That has to end eventually, right? So I'm wondering if this year there's no thrusters, because that would really give people something to complain about. Oh, Dave's gone and now we don't do thrusters in the Open. An end of an era. Or alternatively, what I would prefer to being a ascending ladder or descending ladder or whatever of loads of thrusters would just be a 1 rep max heavy thruster.
That'd be cool. Yeah. But I see if they do come up this year, they could be dumbbell and then burpees over the dumbbell.
But that's a single arm as well, because we only have to have one dumbbell.
Sucks.
Double dumbbell at 22, but I reckon that'll be too much for the Open.
It can't be, because the equipment list specified
one dumbbell. One?
So
yeah, you're right.
Then, or maybe you could just get to hold it in 2 hands, then I don't mind as much.
No.
Goblet thruster.
Well, I tell you what, I've really enjoyed. I feel like if there is one of these evolving clocks like you've just described, Sam, there's a danger I've spent more time talking about what 22.2 could be than actually doing 22.2. But
that's always an option for me.
I always talk more CrossFit than do CrossFit, right? That's been the case for a while, but I enjoy it nonetheless. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Do we have a shout out at all this week?
Oh man, you're kidding. We haven't done that since we started doing live episodes.
Have we not? All right. Well,
only because we generally are shouting out the people in the comments as they come along. I mean, obviously we're going to give a big shout out to Ben, because he's been participating in our fancy fitnessing leagues that we've done. He's a friend of the show, and he's absolutely smashing the Open. So
absolutely.
know.
And obviously, it has to be a big thanks to Joe for coming on and joining us around the plate stack.
It's been
an
a pleasure. Thank you.
Do want to wish everyone listening and everyone around the plate stack, Joe, Jason, and Sam, the best for 22.2. I'll wrap it up by just saying you can find me on Instagram at Chalking Fitness, where I'm doing far too many stats right now and not enough sleeping, but they seem to be enjoyed, and I enjoy making them. So there we go. Jason's
I enjoy binging them as well, Tom.
Excellent. I'm pleased to hear it. I see you've signed up for the Chalking Fitness newsletter as well. So
yes,
you can,
signed up today.
You can get even more stats that way as well, just to plug that, blatantly.
Wow.
It felt natural.
You can Chalky Fitness can sponsor any episode of Plate Stat Chat they want.
It just sponsored today's. So that's me. Jason's at Jason CF Media, Sam at La Roche Original, and Joe is at Joe Taylor, as in like Taylor Howe, right?
As in Taylor Howe, because Taylor spelt as it is weren't available on Instagram at the time.
Well, people, it's phonetically spelled, so perfect. So It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to sign us off. Enjoy the Open. I'll see you all on the leaderboard.